I love I love when I hear that word because that to me that word is everything, and it's knowing the types of people that tend to go into this field and work on these types of stories. Relationships are the hard part because most of us are people that like to hang out in our books and comics and not spend a lot of time around people. Unfortunately, it is the making contact with people and building those relationships that is what makes this all kind of it's what makes it work. Like if you're not connecting with people, the bottom line is nobody's going to be reading your stuff. I also wanted to note, like, because you're talking about story craft, and I know for me, it's really easy to like crank out a short story. You have a good concept, but when you take that short story and you try to develop it into like a real story, something that's not just kind of like a concise idea, when you really have to start, basically taking it from more than like a scene or two. That's when things start getting real next level and real complicated because making sure that the energy level, ups and downs, 'cause you can't just be full tilt the whole way. Like, I mean, you could, I suppose, but if you did that for every story, it's gonna be very one note. And that jump from short story to like novel, novella, longer form short story. It's such a hard jump to make.
Yeah, there's a mechanics to both types of stories, and um, that's what I was saying. You have to understand the beats for each story, and
Is there a specific school of story that you adhere to, or do you kind of have like your own way of like constructing that at this point? Because I know I've looked at a number of books, a number of different like ways that people say, oh well, this is your 7 point system, or these are the you got your three arcs, and this is how it all works, and then you try and overlay any of them over the other ones. Like, okay, this kind of makes sense. Like, so there's 2 points that happen between all of these. I don't understand how to which one works.
well, the for novels, I uh, there's a book that I got that's over there. I'm trying to remember the name. Story Engineering by Larry Brooks. He lays it out perfectly as to the structure of how a novel should work, and I think once I read that, it was kind of like the missing piece to writing a novel because I think the instinct is, when you've got this great setting and these great characters and your idea, you know where you want to go, you just take off. But you really, well, there's the pantsers and the plotters, and I'm a plotter. So it really worked for me to be able to lay out an outline. But when it comes to short stories, because I'm a pulp guy, I like the Lester Dent formula. And I mean, that one you could find on the internet anywhere. And, you know, he basically tells you how to write a good action mystery kind of story just by laying out the guidelines. But you can tweak that here and there once you understand the formula to be any kind of story. And, those are my two go tos.
I had someone actually send me the Lester Dent one for the first time into my Discord the other day, and I was like, "Wow, this is pretty genius. This dude broke it down to like even the word count." It was it's like if you follow this formula, you're gonna end up with a story one way or the other. Good or not, I can't tell you, but it's gonna be something.
I mean, it's definitely a skeleton that you can hang just about anything onto, or at least I haven't found anything yet that I like better. I'm not saying it's not out there, but I'm comfortable with it. And like I said, you. In fact, this week I was working on a story, and I'd started with that, and I got about to the midpoint, and I just totally abandoned the outline and went my own direction. And I think it's one of those things where once you know the rules, you can break them, but until you understand them, it's not a good idea.
Well, and it's the breaking of the rules. The reason you need to do stuff like that, it's satisfying, is because there is a rule. It doesn't work if there isn't a rule that you're breaking. Whatever novelty is in there is in. Well, this is what I'm used to seeing, and it's interesting because I don't see that now.
And it's funny to me that rules are different across cultures. Like, we're pretty much familiar with traditional Western storytelling, but I've read some novels by Japanese authors, and their structures aren't necessarily the same. I mean, they're different. Like one of my favorite novels is Musashi by Eiji Yoshikawa, and it doesn't follow that hero's journey or the three act system that we're familiar with, but it's still a great story. So
Well, I mean, I know in film, like I love Japanese horror, and it is definitely not the same thing as American horror. Like for people who watched the movie The Ring and thought they were watching what that movie is supposed to be, you didn't. You really don't understand what that movie was about because it was a horrible butchering what they did to the original. Now, Ringu, it's called. Well, the big issue is that a lot of the symbolism that they kind of put in the Americanized version of it doesn't make any sense in America. Like if you plug it into the Japanese movie, like there's reasons that they chose those particular things, and it makes a whole ton of sense. But in the Americanized version, it's just kind of like random images that you're associating with this thing that like have deep meaning outside of what you're looking at, but you don't that part isn't culturally relevant, I guess, is part of the big thing. So, all right, well, I'm curious. You've been at this a while. What are the things that you have found are like the most powerful when it comes to finding and engaging an audience?
that's a good question. um, that's definitely the weak part of my game, to be sure. Honestly, I think just like you said, trying to make those connections, and probably the best thing for that is book signings, because if you're there at somebody in their presence, and uh, I mean, you can do this at conventions. Local libraries will sometimes have local authors events. Even you could place it up a thing at a flea market. But I mean, if you're there face to face and you can make the case for your book, that's probably going to be better than a billboard that somebody passes at 60 miles an hour. But maybe not.
Well, billboards, mass marketing, and let's be honest, what we're doing, we're looking at niche marketing. We're trying to connect with a particular type of people, and to me, and you could probably speak more to this than even I could. Like in the past, like there was a place that we could all kind of go to, the comic book shop, the game shop, where you're going to connect with people that are kind of your people. But that industry, the comic book industry, has suffered so much over the past couple of years that the fewer and fewer stores open, and so what used to be kind of like the outward, fan facing part of our culture has kind of it's become harder and harder to find. Like I put it this way, I go to a comic shop that's an hour away because it's the one comic book shop I don't feel uncomfortable in when I go into.